Man, so the Browns season is finally over, and obviously it was not the season that we thought we would have at all. The Browns finished 6-10 with a disappointing loss to Cincinnati, but at this moment and at this time, I don't think it even matters that the loss to Cincinnati is disappointing, because regardless of if you're 7 or 9 or 6-10, it's still disappointing. At least this time, since you're 6-10, you might be able to get the 11th pick in the draft if things fall the right way. So, you get something out of it. But obviously, there's some things to talk about in this game. You saw a lot more out of Odell and Jarvis in this game. I think the team actually came out and played hard. I think the defense is just woefully incompetent at this point. The defensive line has been bad since Myles Garrett has been gone, and I don't think that is necessarily all Steve Wilks' fault. I think that is a lot to do with the lackluster personnel and the lackluster performance of the guys on the defensive line at this point, because there's just no push, there's no physicality, and it hasn't been that way since Myles Garrett has gotten suspended, quite frankly. So there's that. But obviously, this game is going to bring about some changes. Well, at least people are going to want to talk about some changes. Whether these changes happen, whether there is going to be as much movement as some people are speculating there is, that has remained to be seen. But, let's start to talk about some of the possibilities. Now, we're going to start from things that I think is the least likely to things I think is most likely. So we're probably going to end with Freddie Kitchens here. But one of the things that I think people have been talking about is Odell Beckham. Will he be on the move this offseason? I think as long as John Dorsey is here, that is highly unlikely, at least for next season. I think, you just got to let OBJ heal. And honestly, I think more importantly than just healing, get some chemistry with Baker Mayfield and, build some continuity. I think that'll handle itself out. I think OBJ will be fine next year. This year, he got over 1,000, had a good game today. Looked like he was playing through significant pain. I look forward to seeing Baker and Odell kind of match up together next year. But that brings me to the next thing, which is the rumors that there might be more than the head coach changing. Now, some people have attacked me on Twitter saying, well, the rumors just said more. It didn't necessarily say John Dorsey is on the move, but what other change can I expect? I mean, I guess we could say John D. Podesta could be on the move, which would be long overdue. I don't know what he really contributes anymore to the Browns in a football capacity. We could even say that maybe some of the personnel guys are on the move. Maybe it's some of the guys under Dorsey, Elliott Wolf, Alonzo Highsmith, that might be out in Cleveland. But the implication with that report is that it's John Dorsey on the way out. And I said this on Twitter, and I'll say this here again, and I don't care what a lot of people have to say. I have a very strong opinion about this, and if that John Dorsey is fired after this season, if the Browns fire John Dorsey, I think I'm out. I think as a diehard Browns fan, I'm out. I'm out. I can't do it anymore, because getting rid of John Dorsey would not only derail whatever direction that this team was on. And, I know some people are disappointed with this season, but these kind of disappointments after a lot of free agency acquisitions happen all the time in the NFL. The most recent example is the Jacksonville Jaguars. The year before they almost went to the Super Bowl, they disappointed, and they had all this hype with all the free agency signings that they had the year prior. So stay course, make some adjustments, and who knows, next year you might be fighting for the Super Bowl. But if you fire John Dorsey, here's what it means. It means you're completely rebuilding the roster from the bottom up, which means all the role players, all the bottom end guys, those guys are gone. Most of the top end guys are gone. OBJ gone. Jarvis Landry probably gone. We're probably scrubbing the roster because there's a new GM. And then your quarterback. You know what? Say what you want about Baker Mayfield. I think that Baker Mayfield deserves the full 5 to prove himself if he is a franchise quarterback in the NFL, because I believe in him. I think he has his flaws. I worry about him in the clutch, but I think he's going to be a franchise quarterback. But if you fire John Dorsey, well, then all hell's to that. Then we're back into the quarterback rotation tree that we've been in for the last, 25 years, and nothing has changed when we've had an opportunity for change. And that would just drive me crazy. And then some people are hailing on to hope that maybe they fired John Dorsey to get Urban Meyer, as if they don't realize what kind of a train wreck that would be. Now, I get it. A lot of people who are Browns fans are Ohio State Buckeyes fans. And, some people love Urban as a Buckeyes coach. Some people really are lukewarm on Urban as a Buckeyes coach. But the same people who seem to be going so gung-ho for Urban are the same people who yell at Freddie Kitchens to run every play. Go back and look at Urban Meyer's track record when he had Ezekiel Elliott, especially the year after the national championship, and see how much he ran the ball and see if he's not going to drive you crazy. Also, you're going to be put in a position where you're going to have Urban Meyer be everything for this team, the coach and the general manager. He's going to be running the team, and he just left his last two jobs because he was too stressed, and it was too much on the medical side for him to continue to coach. The NFL is a whole different game than college football when it comes to the hours you have to put in and how unhealthy it is on the human body. And we're going to think Urban Meyer's going to be here for more than 2 years. You're going to hire Urban Meyer. He's going to do whatever he wants to do for 2 years, probably disappoint. And then you'll be left after 2 years with no quarterback, no direction, no future, same old Browns. That's the same old Browns right there. Everybody who wants to say same old Browns and you're rooting for Urban Meyer to come here and John Dorsey to get fired, you want the same old Browns to happen because that's the same old Browns. I'm done at that point if they fire John Dorsey. This team, for the first time in 20 years, looks like they're on a legitimate direction. Sure, did they get off track this season? Of course. But there is nothing that tells me they can't make a few adjustments and get back on track next season. But if you fire John Dorsey, after the first time in 20 years you look like you're going in a direction, then this franchise is doomed. This franchise will never win anything, and they will be stuck in hell for the rest of eternity because this is just a insanity cycle at this point. So expect that if John Dorsey, and I don't expect this to happen, but if John Dorsey gets fired, expect a large rant about John Dorsey and expect less Browns content on this channel because I would be done. I'm done at that point. This team is finally on a direction organizationally that we can get behind. A quarterback, a general manager. We don't know what's going on with the coach, but that's an adjustment you can make. But you got the two big things. You got the big pieces. You just need to make a few adjustments, and to do something as stupid as this I would be done. I would be done. I would be done. Absolutely done. Now let's speak to a change that won't make me be done with the Cleveland Browns. And that's Freddie Kitchens. At this point, Freddie Kitchens finished 6-10. If you want to fire him after 1 year, you have the green light. He is within that criteria of fireable after 1 year, especially given what the expectations are. If you want to keep him, that'd be tough on Freddie. He would have to come out and win like 8 games in a row to start the season in order to get any good faith back with the fans. I don't see it being a tenable situation at this point, and I don't see it being a situation where you can bring them back with the fans, and the fans are gonna, have any optimism about what next year could be. But I understand that you might want to keep them for continuity's sakes. But I think public opinion has gotten so negative towards Freddie Kitchens at this point that it does pose a serious question of if you can bring this guy back, just because the home games would be awful for this guy, and the public situation would just be awful for Freddie Kitchens. So, I can see it going down either way. I really think he's probably going to be fired, but if he's not, I'm not really going to be angry about it, but I know there are going to be a ton of people who are going to be angry about it. But, that is what it is. If they think that's the right decision, then, organizationally, they got to do what they got to do and, take the lumps that they got to take. Now let's talk about replacements for head coach. I'm a big believer in Pete Carmichael. I think he can bring in guys like Joe Lombardi, guys like Joe Brady down in LSU, these assistants on offense that are used to the New Orleans system that I think beautifully fits this roster and would make this offense just explosive beyond measure. And I know a lot of people have this idea that you need this disciplinarian, you need Tom Coughlin to be your head coach here in Cleveland. You need somebody with a strong personality. I kind of tend to believe in the opposite of that. I think you need somebody who can bring in an offense that can satisfy everybody. I think if you have players happy on offense and you're moving the ball and you're winning football games, all the other intangibles, the leadership crap, all that is to the side. I mean, who is saying Sean Payton was the greatest leader of leaders before he got to New Orleans? I don't think a lot of people were. I mean, Mike Tomlin's leadership was questioned up and down in Pittsburgh up until this year. So I think when it comes to Pete Carmichael, I think he can just bring an offense in that is really going to take this team to the next level and take it to where they should be and where expectations are going to be. And if you do that, then everything else is going to be easy. I don't think you need somebody who's going to be this ego manager. I think you need an offense that's going to be able to make people happy. And when people are happy, when people are winning games, it's a lot easier to lead, isn't it? So I think, people are going down this route of Ron Rivera or, some type of experienced head coach to be a firm hand or something. I don't buy into those narratives. I think you need somebody who can bring in an offense that's going to make people happy, because no matter how firm the hand, if the offense sucks next year, I don't care who the coach is. It could be John Gruden. It could be Ron Rivera. It could be John Harbaugh. It's not, but it could be John Harbaugh for all I care. And you're still going to have unhappy players. You're still going to have players getting angry and throwing fits on the sideline because these guys are passionate. They want to win. So regardless of what we want to attribute as personality traits that we want in a head coach, number one thing, we need a dude who's going to bring in an offense that's going to work. If you get an offense that works, everything else comes easy. It's on the field, guys. The problem is on the field. Off the field, that's not the problem. The problem is on the field and with your veterans in your locker room. You could do the veteran thing with free agency. John Dorsey could be smart and actually sign some good character, high-class free agents for once, instead of taking risk on all kind of dudes with talent. We don't need upside as much as we need locker room guys. And then you take care of business on the field, and you solve a lot of problems. This team can go from 6-10 to 13-3 next year. I firmly believe in it without having to do many major changes on offense. Maybe 3 or 4 starters on defense and 3 or 4 starters on offense. And that's mainly on the offensive line. But you don't have to overhaul the whole team. You don't have to get somebody who's going to try to be Bill Belichick. You just got to get somebody in here with the offense that works, and you're going to be fine. And you don't have to fire your GM to do that. And if they fire the GM, again, I'm going to say this one last time. If they fire the GM, I'm done. I cannot go hard following this team anymore if they're just going to keep doing the same crap year after year. And I don't mean losing. I mean from a organizational, from the top down, just dysfunction. Keep resetting things, keep restarting, just the impatience and the fact that they'll never let this plant grow. I don't know if I can just stay on board with it, because it would burn me out. It would burn me out of the Browns. Now, I'm going to always talk football. I'm always going to talk Browns. I'm going to cover the Browns and whatever, but it would burn me out. I don't know how diehard I could be, how hard I could go for the Cleveland Browns at that point, because that would be one of the most head-scratching decisions, I think, in Cleveland Browns history. But that's just my thoughts on it. Let me know your thoughts. Who do you want to replace Freddie Kitchens? Because at this point, I don't think there's going to be a lot of people going hard for Freddie Kitchens. But also let me know if you want to keep Freddie Kitchens. And are you open to firing Dorsey? I certainly am not. But let me know if you are or not in the comment section down below. Thank you for listening to some of my raw thoughts after the game. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ding that notification bell so you can be notified. Have a great day. Have a good night.